I have my tissues ready because this typically gets a little emotional for me. So pardon me if I have to take a brief break. But I've been asked to give you a patient's view of Delaware's trauma system of care. And I'd like to tell you what the title of my paper is. You all don't see it and you won't know it, but it's Delaware Trauma System, Wonderful Alignment. Because to me, that's what I saw, wonderful alignment. So I was asked to give you a patient's view of Delaware's trauma system of care. Firstly, I have to stress an important point. This is my rendition of the story. And this account is based on the events obviously that occurred August 9th, but this was based on conversations had with first responders and many people that were involved in my care that day and soon thereafter. I largely have no recollection of that fateful day and no recollection of the months thereafter. So again, this is based on accounts from many of these professionals. And as I said, these professionals we now consider friends. My wife and I owe this group a tremendous debt of gratitude, and we now consider them friends because we visited many of them in the past few months to hear these stories, and we were able to hear this commentary firsthand. And that's very important, as these professionals do what they do every day. And that fateful day in August, I experienced an amazing synchrony of events and tasks that occurred as if the planets aligned perfectly. And for me, they did with my life. As some of you may know, that day, I left from Rehoboth on a bike ride of 30 or 40 miles, which I used to do 200 times a year. Unfortunately, I was catastrophically struck by a car early in my journey, in my voyage. And that was just the beginning of my experience with Delaware shock trauma. When the EMTs arrived in under 5 minutes, I barely had a pulse. Luckily, this rig had whole blood on it, as previously stated. And within minutes after the accident, they were about to give me the first transfusion, life-saving transfusion, I might add. And that was the first miracle of the day, not the last. Soon thereafter, I arrived at BB Hospital in Lewis, where I was initially given a less than 1% chance of living. But doctors and nurses jumped into action, patching my wounds and further assessing my health. Yet it was soon decided that I would have a much better chance of survival at a level 1 trauma center. So that meant they had to stabilize me, and they got me on a helicopter in record time. And I made the quick flight to Christiana Hospital in Newark, arriving alive within the hour. That was the second miracle of the day. Upon arrival, clinicians continued to bandage my wounds and tried desperately to find all the relevant sources of bleeding, as I was still losing a ton of blood, having been transfused several times prior to that. Although, when I got to Christiana, my condition was upgraded to 1 to 2% chance of living. Doctors informed my wife and grown children who were now there on site in Newark that they should probably make arrangements for my body. Yet I'm here. So I beat those odds, and that was the third miracle of the day. With my innards now partially deconstructed and lying adjacent to me on the working table, doctors were able to find the source of my bleeding and put that to an end once and for all. With that in the rearview mirror, they then began reconstructing the extremities on my right side, as well as my pelvis, which is broken in half and now has 2 large titanium bolts holding it together diagonally. That, all the metal that was installed in my body, and the fact that it was done with my goal of walking again normally. That was the fourth miracle of the day. So with no interest to fast forward through the other feats of commitment and kindness received that day, I then began the arduous journey of convalescing, rehabilitating, and taking stake in my physical new normal. In the rehab hospital, I was being taught to walk again, taught to swallow, to eat, and at first even taught to breathe. The doctors and physical therapists were unbelievable, and every day I saw some progress. But I quickly decided that the best medicine and therapy for me was to be home with my family and to try to be home by Thanksgiving. So I asked the therapist to really step on the gas with my therapy, and we were putting multiple hours a day in, going through all those processes. And as a testament to Delaware's trauma system of care and the phenomenal care I got subsequently in rehab, my wife was able to take me home 5 days before Thanksgiving. That was after 15 weeks in hospitals. 8 weeks of that was in intensive care, taken care of by Delaware's best. That was the fifth miracle. And it was truly great medicine being home, because after just 25 more weeks since my Thanksgiving return, I can now finally drive again, walk unaided, and I came here today fully mobilized. And while I cannot confirm whether or not these were true miracles through divine intervention, what I can tell you is that I definitely received miraculous care from Delaware's system of trauma, a system that we should continue to adequately fund, we should continue to adequately resource, so that these professionals can do what they do every day, which is save lives like mine. What's that worth? Thank you.